So, hi everyone. Today is our 24th episode, and today we're gonna do a deep dive interview with Qiscus co-founders. So, if you're new with the Founders Diary, my name is Arya Setiadharma, and I'm your host today. We're doing this Founders Diary because we know how lonely it is to become a founders, and we want everyone to listen to the stories of the founders so that we can learn from each other. So I'd like to welcome Mas Delta and Muhammad. We're doing this in English because we have Muhammad here as well.
I think Muhammad is an expert in Bahasa Indonesia, so
Oh, really?
No, I feel
my
better.
English is better.
Oh, English is better. Okay. So yeah, today we have Delta Purna Widyangga and Muhammad. What is MD?
Muhammad Rahim.
Muhammad Rahim.
Yeah.
Okay. So both of them are co-founders of Qiscus. So a little bit of Qiscus. Qiscus is a conversational platform that helps businesses embraces the power of conversations to deliver excellent customer experience. Qiscus has brought its multi-channel chat and video call technologies to 14 countries and serve enterprises in over 12 sectors. It has powered up conversations for some of the largest enterprises in various sectors such as healthcare, telecommunication, transportation, online commerce, and even the government. So without further ado, I'd like to welcome both of you and please just introduce yourself, maybe a bit background about yourself before Qiscus.
Okay. Thank you, Pak Arya. Thank you, Pak Ardi also. So will Pak Ardi will joining us as well today.
Yeah, he's a bit he feels a bit sick, so maybe
Okay,
I'll be your only host today.
All right. Yeah, hopefully he recovers soon. Yeah, thank you very much, Pak Arya. Thank you very much, Prasetia and CR basically for inviting both of us. So me and Muhammad here. Qiscus has 3 co-founders actually, so everyone sends his regards.
Yeah.
I'm representing the Indonesian part of this discussion. Muhammad will be representing the Singapore part. Yeah, my name is Delta. I'm the CEO of Qiscus. A little bit about myself. My background is more on the consulting. I was in Accenture for a couple of years. Then after that, I joining an SAP company, a SAP vendor company, for another couple of years before I started my first company back then. So yeah, my background is mostly on the consulting. That's why also in Qiscus, my primary responsibility has a lot to do about balancing between tech and business. Because that's what I did most of the time in my consulting work back then as well. So I live in Yogyakarta. I happen to be in the office, so this is not virtual background. This is a real our Jogja office lobby. I just happen to be here and haven't go back home. Yeah, that's all from me. Thank you very much again, Pak Arya and Pak Ardi, for the invitation.
Yep. Thank you, Delta. Thank you, Mas Delta. Go ahead, Muhammad. Share a bit about yourself.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for having me here, and thank you, Arya, for changing the whole language to English. No, I feel bad, but yeah, I mean, if I stay in Bahasa, I think people might misunderstand me. So yeah, I'm based in Singapore, and prior to Qiscus, I was actually working for the Singapore government, handling about a $5 million fund to help the SMEs in Singapore. So quite I understand quite a bit about challenges of running companies. After which we started Qiscus together. So prior to working, I think I've known Delta for 12 years now, I think. He's
that long, bro.
I mean, since NPU days, yeah. His parents, his wife, his friends, his neighbors. So yeah, that's how much we have known each other. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Muhammad. So I guess I'll just go start with the first question. How did you guys meet? Is it like the three of you met
No.
during college days?
Yeah, the story is a bit different with Evan because actually each of us has different. We were from the same university I'm fortunate to be able to study in NTU during my undergraduate days. So that's where I met Muhammad and met Evan as well. But interestingly, each of us actually in different batches, Pak Arya. Me and Muhammad is actually is in a batch after me, but he's older than me, just to for the record, because of national service in Singapore. So we met. Yeah, we met in school basically. I remember, I think last time is during one of the bus to Friday prayers in NTU. I believe that's when I met Muhammad the first time. So yeah, during this NTU days is the time when I got to know Muhammad. I think it's like, interestingly, I think it strike me Muhammad as a very genuine person, or very authentic. The reason why I highlighted this is because in NTU there are a lot of foreigners. Paredo, Indonesia and Singapore is so close, but Indonesia is still considered foreigner in Singapore. And sometimes it's hard to communicate between different countries, but somehow it's just easy with Muhammad. So I think that's how we got close to each other, because of that authenticity. Then after that, we happened to be in the same organization in campus, and I think for during 1 or 2 years during the organizations, we become very close, and it stretched even after that, because we even during even after graduation, or even just before graduation, we usually sync up with each other or just meet for coffee. During his wedding also, I helped here and there. During my wedding, Muhammad actually fly to Jakarta for just to attend the wedding. And after that, we happen to have a similar aspiration. Actually, Muhammad started way during his undergraduate days, started his own business back then. So I'm actually aspired to follow him. So post graduation, during our working days, we decided to, okay, let's join some competition. Let's work on something together. So that's how we started to this venture in Qiscus. So yeah, from there on, we tried competition. We tried our first company before we actually running Qiscus, like currently what we're doing. Yeah, that's I think the history, Muhammad. Did I miss anything?
So what was this story about competition? Is that for Qiscus, and what was the history about it?
You remember what, Muhammad?
Competition ini apa idea sing?
Yeah, I think we did another competition before that, but yeah, idea sing is one of the competition we did.
Is it like hackathon kind of thing?
No, it's basically an entrepreneurship competition organized by NTU. So Khairul Rejal was back then. Reconnect's co-founder was back then the founders of IT in NTU. So we know Khairul for some time as well. But we participated in several entrepreneurship competitions, not for Qiscus. It was for 2 different or 3 different ideas before Qiscus. But we won the 3rd or 4th ideas in that we participated, got some small $15,000 budget of a fund from that. And then after that, we created a predecessor of Qiscus. That means an app before Qiscus. And then from there, we became an entrepreneur. So yeah.
But what was the product that you submit back then?
Before Qiscus, we were creating an education product. So we were enabling digital discussions in classrooms. So there's digital writing, iOS app, and then there's a discussion feature. So we call it FIDEX. And then from then on, we try to sell to the schools, and then it's hard to sell, and then we try to take out the discussion feature to become Qiscus. So that's basically we won for something else, but we end up creating something else. You see, so yeah.
So I guess the idea was great, but it was not it was not needed by consumer.
It was um, it was too early, maybe. One reason is we were too early in the market, right? The second reason is startups typically to sell to schools is a bit tough, especially in Singapore, where it's a tender process or controlled by the central government, right? In the US, when then we went to Indonesia, we tried to sell to private schools, but the sales cycle is too long. Not a good idea for startup to have $15,000 funds and then try to sell something that has a very long sales cycle. Not a good idea. So we couldn't get revenue quick, and then we pivoted to create Qiscus eventually. Yeah.
I see. I think I remember. I think the first time I met you, Muhammad, was 2016. It was at a Tech in Asia event.
Tech in Asia, yeah.
And back then, I think I still remember your product was the conversation, the chat, right?
The chat enterprise. It's like a Slack for enterprise.
Messaging.
Messaging. So we first entered Indonesia as Slack of Indonesia. So we are early in the market as well. So that's our problem. We are too early.
You think it would be different if you launch nowadays?
If I have as much money as possible, as Slack, maybe.
Okay. Thank you. So the next question: why Qiscus now?
Why Qiscus?
I guess I mean, like, why Qiscus, and why did you guys decide that the three of you should do it together?
I see. I think we did try to discuss, like I think originally it started with, we just have an alignment of, okay, we want to do something, we want to work together on create an impact. But one key theme that we understand is that there's the one fundamental problem that we are trying to, or we feel a lot, especially myself during my time in consulting, is that Indonesia, or this region in general, is very underrepresented when it comes to a world-class product for B2B. As a consultant, when I do implementation, usually I implement Oracle, I implement SAP, I implement IBM. Very tough to find, a local region-based product which up to that standard, implemented in huge MNCs in Singapore and in Southeast Asia. That's when we think, okay, what's happened? Why there's no, solutions or products that can actually match these huge companies? So that's when it started. I believe that, okay, let's build a world-class tech company. So has been our vision since then. Even until now, there's the dreams that we always say to especially our team, that, okay, let's build a world-class tech company that create that kind of impact to the world. So when it comes to world-class tech company, we started with many things. I think just now the FIDEX is the initial part of it, where we tried to use the technology in education sector. But then when Qiscus started, we tried to build enterprise messaging solutions. I think that's when Muhammad met Arya, I guess, yeah. So we did that for, I think, about 2 to 3 years during the initial part of Qiscus. But then after that, we believe that there are much bigger opportunities when it comes to conversational experience. That's currently we are experiencing as well. That's when we actually pivot from enterprise messaging to consumer-based or business messaging to the consumer side rather than internal messaging. That's where we able to create differences when it comes to how people interact with each other, consulting with doctor, talk to teachers virtually, order stuff online, all this stuff that we still strive to build. But the fundamental reasons is always about building a world-class tech company that comes from this region, or from Indonesia, from this region. So that's why we start Qiscus. And myself, Muhammad, and Evan has this same visions, basically, that we want to grow Qiscus to be that level where people will think about, back just now, about if people think about a world-class B2B company, they will not only see SAP, they will not only see Oracle, but they will also see Qiscus and many others great companies from Indonesia and from this region. So yeah, that's probably the idea, Arya.
What is Evan based at?
What is Evan based at?
Yeah, is Evan based in Jakarta or also in?
Base is a bit interesting for us. We started in Singapore.
No, Evan.
Yeah, three of us started in Singapore, but we decided to, okay, for this second company, because just now the first one not so done so well, we decided to move to Indonesia. So me, Evan, actually tried several parts, Arya. We tried Jakarta, we tried Bandung, but we settled in Jogja. So me and Evan actually based in Jogja, Arya. Muhammad actually tried to stay in Jakarta for a while, but now he's actually based in Singapore, but travel to Jakarta for a while. But myself and Evan is in Jogja, Arya. Actually, so Evan is the only original Jogjanese in the co-founder.
Okay. So you, I mean, when you said you started in Singapore, that was already with Qiscus.
Yes, we initiated the idea back then in Singapore when we want to pivot from FIDEX, or not pivot, we changed company basically. That's when we enter Indonesia as enterprise messaging or messaging for work in 2013. So basically, Qiscus itself, when we started, we immediately moved to Indonesia. Basically, we no longer running things in Singapore. We set up team immediately in Indonesia rather than in Singapore, based on learning points of previous company. Yeah.
But right now, what was the challenge having team also in Jogja, and then also I think you have sales team in Jakarta, and then Muhammad in Singapore? Is it a challenge, or it's actually something that you're proud of and doing well?
I think. What do you think, Muhammad?
Okay, I think I will be able to answer that because I'm based in Singapore, managing the Jakarta team, right? So it has been like that for the past 3 to 4 years. It's tough because you are not able to see the team, how's the team performing. But once you establish processes and habits of structure that the team are supposed to follow, then I think it makes things a bit easier, right? But that said, physical, there must always be a physical meeting. So that's why I always travel up to Jakarta to meet the team. But after some time, once the team are able to run on their own, it's based on trust, it's based on goals that the team set and commit to achieve. So that's where even if I go to Jakarta, it's less and less because there's a meeting with the team, but more because of exploring more and more opportunities in Indonesia. So at the beginning, definitely there's a need to get the team dynamics right and processes right. But once that is done, the team can run on its own, trust has been built, I think after that is quite okay. But we still have quarterly meetups to set targets together and so on. But so at the end of the day, it's not always 100% remote. There must always be some physical touch in managing a remote team. Yeah.
But with you guys already running remotely, do you think it already prepare you guys for this kind of pandemic?
Yeah. So it's amazing. I mean, not amazing, but there's good and bad. I think we are used to doing remote working, so that's a good thing. So things still can progress, but because we are also expanding quite fast, so therefore it's kind of tough to um, gel the team together, like what we used to be able to. So while the engine is still moving, I think the team dynamics, we need a different strategy to engage the different team members. So that's where the added challenge comes in.
Agree.
Is there any specific strategy that you do during this pandemic to overcome this problem?
I think the HR side do a lot of extra stuff. um, I will just say then Delta you can add on. So I think we have a lot of checks in place to ensure that the teams are okay. Let's say weekly checks. We call it the
Wow.
employee pulse. There we try to check whether everyone is okay, and then after that we have a monthly meet, either because to set targets together, to review targets together, or to do activities together. But more importantly, also we try to drum the culture of Qiscus to everyone by us founders writing things, having online interaction with everyone, so that everyone understand the value of Qiscus. What do we emphasize a lot on? So all these values needs to be stronger during times like this, where we don't exactly meet physically. So that once everyone hold the same values and the same mission, then that's where things can still move forward. So I think that's generally what I see, but I think Delta will be able to add better.
Yeah, on top of that, I think having I think it's really worth to coin your culture values or core values, Arya. I think we believe so. So we coin our 5 core values in Qiscus, which helps uh, become a so-called compass for everyone in the team, no matter where they are. What exactly Qiscus as a company values from as a person, as a team, as a company. So second, I think we should also, just to on top of what Muhammad has shared just now, I think a strong team have a clear goals, be it a short-term or long-term goals. So having a quarterly goal setting or OKR meetings is, I think it helps the companies to ensure that everyone is moving towards this direction. This is how I contributed myself as a team. This is how I contribute myself as an individual. So it helps drive and mold that culture that we are expecting from everyone in the company. So the rest, I think about like engagement, like we have weekly talk or weekly sharing session. We have pulse and everything that Muhammad have shared is basically try to uh, uh, re-emphasize all these values so that everyone are okay and moving things forward, basically. But challenges definitely remains there. So that's why the pulse, that's why that Muhammad have shared is ensuring that we know that if some people are feeling sick or not feeling so well or feeling demotivated or isolated sometimes, we can prompt to help him or her overcome whatever he is experiencing. Basically, it can be advising him about something, or it can be allowing him to take a rest and so on, like that, Arya.
I see. Thank you. So I know you guys have been friends for a while, right? I mean, 12. Did you say what, 12 years?
I think so.
So
I
yeah,
think
This year, Muhammad, 20. I think should be more. Bro.
more than that. Okay lah, we are old already, bro. We are old.
So have you guys ever fought as co-founders?
Oh, that's interesting.
Uh,
Did
Each
we
other,
we definitely argue a lot, but yeah. But what I think
Argue a lot.
argue a lot.
That's part of working together. If you don't argue, means the company is not going to go anywhere. So
The best thing about having three people, Arya, is that if two people fight or argue, yes, the third one usually take a step of balancing out. So I think
yeah,
that's how we survive so far.
the thing is that Delta is usually the facilitator, you see, but so I will argue with Evan. Then Delta is like, okay, Evan, this is what you think. Okay, Muhammad, this is what you think. Okay, come, let's go to the middle. So Delta is always the facilitator. So I seldom I fight with him. I fight Evan more.
So Delta is the peacemaker.
Yeah, he's a peacemaker. So he's a very peaceful person, as you can see, right? Sometimes too peaceful until you want to fall asleep. No, just kidding. But yeah. So that's basically the dynamics.
Yeah.
I see. So I don't know. I mean, this next question is a bit too direct, I guess. But do you have any things that you like or you hate about your co-founder?
I answer this first. I mean, I think the hate part is quite easy to answer because it's very difficult to hate Delta, right? To be honest, right? It's very difficult to hate him. So he, even if you try to hate him, he will make peace such that you can't hate him, right? So that's the problem.
What's that?
So I don't like that about him because I cannot hate him, right? But what I like about him is basically he can really put himself in your shoes. That's related to what I don't like about him as well. He can put himself in your shoes and understand where you're coming from so well that you can't hate him. That's a problem, right? So yeah. So that's basically my short answer, Delta. Go ahead. Tell the whole world what you hate about me.
Yeah. How about you, Delta?
I don't think it's about hate. It's just about more like challenges or the tough one working with Muhammad. Or in general, probably, yeah, Muhammad in general is very detailed person, probably. Like he can craft strategy in very detailed, visionary, to the extent that it's very hard to meet that kind of standard by everyone in the company. So it's more like tough challenges that that everyone in the company is trying to meet that standard. Which I believe that's why he's the COO. He's the one that guiding all the operational excellence in Qiscus, ensuring that the standard of execution that in Qiscus is well maintained there. So it's not exactly hate. It's more like I'm really looking up for him when it comes to that standard. When it comes to love or what I like about him is Muhammad is a very family person, Arya. He has 3 kids, and yeah, in general, the Qiscus founder is very family oriented. But somehow Muhammad, because he has 3 kids, he's become like a standard by me and Evan when it comes to balancing out between growth, what we want to achieve as a company, our dream that we want to achieve, which also, and also about being a good father, being a good husband to your family. So a lot of time it becomes a moral compass for myself and for Evan to ensure that, hey, okay, we want to grow so much for what? For example, it's for your family at the end of the day. It's for your wife, it's for your kids, for your parents, for example. So me and Evan looking forward to Muhammad when it comes to that. He's a very family person, and we aspire to be like him when it comes to that, basically. So yeah, that's about Muhammad, basically, Arya.
I see. So it's kind of like someone who will remind you that we're doing this for something, right? We're doing this for our family.
You grow. Okay. We work over time and so on. But okay, probably we should think simpler, like how to make your family happy and so on. Probably we should take a break. Probably we should balance out all this with how we take care of the company and so on. So yeah, it helps that balance. He gives that balance to the me and Evan as well as to the company, because in Qiscus also there are a lot of families and small families that I think the record is still with Muhammad when it comes to number of kids. So it's like being able to found a company with 3 kids since the very beginning, I think, Muhammad.
Yeah. No, I start with one.
Of course. But when you discuss, I think you at least have already 2. It's like, oh, okay, you become a target for, you become a goal, you become a target to be able to survive as a company and so on.
Actually, if my wife is looking at this, she will disagree with Delta, but
it's okay.
we started Qiscus and my wife just gave birth to my first child in the hospital. That's why I told my wife I'm going to quit my job. That's why my wife was lying down after giving birth. So, I don't know. I think my wife will disagree with what Delta said, but yeah, okay.
Yeah. How did she react?
How did she react? I mean, it's a good thing that I can't remember how she react. But yeah, I think she was too weak to react, which is a good thing.
So you found just the right time, right?
That's the right time, right? When your wife cannot react, right? So yeah.
Okay. So next question. What are the ups and downs doing startup, doing your own company, founding the company from zero?
Right, a lot, I think.
Yeah,
just some examples of the ups and downs.
I mean, I'll give one. I think this is most memorable because I have families. So I mean, there were a few when it comes to Hari Raya, the THR in Indonesia, which is compulsory, the tunjangan Hari Raya. That was I still remember at the beginning stage of Qiscus, that's always the most stressful period of running a company, because that is when you got to actually pay double the expenses. But that's also when there were a few years at the beginning, especially in 2015, where the Hari Raya is something that not enjoyable at all, because that is when we actually face a downturn, right? In Qiscus in 2015 Hari Raya. So we actually couldn't bring in the revenue in, and therefore we couldn't pay salary. So that was like a real downtime when we family wanting to celebrate Hari Raya and couldn't have the THR, don't even have basic salary paid. That's quite tough. But what is also motivating about that period, which reminds us about our commitment to the families of our employees, is that those people who kind of went through the downtime with us, they didn't quit Qiscus. They actually continued. Most of them, in fact, we gave 2 months no pay, but almost all of them stayed with us until we finally got the revenue in and we were able to clear off the outstanding salary. So I think while there is a downtime, that also gives a lot of meaning to what it means by taking care of each other in Qiscus. So yeah, that's on from my perspective.
I think it already helps coin everything. It's both down and up actually.
At the same time, it's really motivating. At the same time painful, but yeah.
I guess that's something that is kind of painful, right? Knowing that that you cannot provide what you promised to your employees, right? But I guess from that downtime, you can realize who really is your family in your organization, right?
Very true. In fact, there are at least 5 of them who are still with us, and one of the reason why they are still with us is because of this family. We are in this together, and we will go through this together.
How about you, Mas Data? Any stories like that?
Yeah, the story is somehow is the same. No, just kidding. The rest I think is that's a monumental moment. Definitely that's 2015. The rest definitely I always happy when it comes to any product release, any products that actually being delivered well. Any clients that are actually sharing how the product actually has helped them. For example, when we helped one of the telehealth company, it shows us how I think back then there was a flood in Indonesia where the refugees, instead of the doctors has to come to the refugees camp, we actually do a telehealth to the doctor remotely. So and I can help to share to everyone in the team that this is what we did, this is how we help them, this is how we facilitate these communications, and it really remind us why exactly we are doing this. That's one of the things I remember. But in general, the ups is when you really feel that what you did in the company actually bring that. Our values is more like not so much about impact. It's really about being useful as a person, as a company, and as a team. We have this because I think it relates to how historically we have a time where we really value the family. So the team in general is we really close with almost everyone in the company, to the extent that we usually have this thing called HR issue of the week, which the founders just discuss. Okay, is there anything that we need our attention this week? So a lot of times it's a down thing. Down thing means, like, for example, someone has to leave, or someone has to someone gets sick, for example, because of COVID, for example, it happens. So that's also a down for me personally, where but sometimes we remind each other that there's this interesting, every time there's someone putting up their resignations in Qiscus, there's only two reasons why they don't got proposed, basically. The first is when Google actually make them an offer to fly to Silicon Valley, for example, or Facebook. Second is when the person actually built a company and is already so busy that he has to resign now from Qiscus. So only these two cases where usually we don't counter propose whatever he resigned, what he resigned for. So it's interesting to see that there are actually quite a number of people in Qiscus decided to start their own company for not just digital. Some actually open up coffee shop, for example, and he actually able to sustain him and his family with that. So we are very happy to be able to facilitate that kind of growth to the team, basically. So it's supposed to be down, but now we come up. Okay, anyway, something like that.
I see. So, but is there any challenges in your recruitment having your head office in Jogja?
Recruitment wise, usually we hire in 2 places, or sometimes 3 places in Singapore. But usually we specify that this person will be assigned to Jakarta, or this person will be assigned to Jogja office. Though during the pandemic like this, usually they can just work from anywhere. Usually divided because of their functions. Like, for example, if they are marketing, sales, or partnership, usually they are based in Jakarta, the office. If they are in tech, they're in product, usually they will be based in Yogyakarta. So, and in Yogyakarta, actually, in terms of talents, they are, in general, they are abundance of talents, I think, Arya. So I think that's also why there are a lot of companies or startups now opening up their offices in Yogyakarta, because to tap all these talents. Partly because of there are so many universities in Yogyakarta, which every year actually just release a lot of talents to the industry. So yeah, usually not so much challenges. For majority of the roles, usually is okay. It's just now the competitions in Jogja just getting a lot more fierce, because just now a lot of companies actually now know already the secret that, okay, Jogja is very lucrative places to open up your development team or engineering space. Not everyone is here, so it's very fierce. But I think we have that advantage of first mover advantage that we already here since 2013. People use most of the time the campus already know about Qiscus. So usually we usually during one of the OKR usually there's 100% achievement when it comes to hiring. Most of the time usually we achieve that at least 90% of the time. So yep, especially in Jogja.
Is it hard to keep your employees from the poachers?
Is it hard? I think when it comes to retention of employees, it's definitely tough when it comes if we our value is just the salaries, because usually most of the time they are huge companies with strong funding and they can just give double of the salary or so on. But we believe in Qiscus our value is not just about the salaries, but it's also about being in the company with a strong growth mindset that actually can grow you together basically as a team. So most of the time we are able to somehow still manage to keep our retentions at a healthy rate, Pak Arya, because yeah, a lot of time it's not just we want to strike the values beyond just the salaries basically. It's about being in Qiscus, it's about growing as a person, as an individual.
I see. Thank you, Asata. So before I go to the next question, I'd like to invite anyone who wants to post any question. You can put it on the chat on the bottom, and then I will ask the speakers. So I want to ask specifically for Muhammad, and because I think Muhammad is the one who's in charge of the sales, right?
Yes.
Do you find it tough to convince your customers, especially enterprise customers, to believe in Qiscus, something that is built by Indonesian programmers? Because I believe that your product is something that probably is something that already has competition as well from abroad as well, right? Is it hard to convince your customers?
If the customer is objective, it's not hard, right? But the problem is there are customers who have the person in charge coming from, let's say, another country. I won't mention the country, another country, and then they are so used to using a certain product that is our competitor. So they will just recommend, let's use the competitor even without looking at this guy, right? Or even without looking at alternative. So those kind of clients is kind of tough to even get to the door. But generally, if clients start to compare apple to apple, we will generally be able to get into the door and at least stand a good fight with the competitors. And most of the time, if let's say the companies are local enterprises in Indonesia, being an Indonesian company, Indonesia-based company, typically is quite easy to win, right? So that is basically between Qiscus and international players. Between Qiscus and the local players, there are also local competitors, definitely. So between Qiscus and local competitors, we got to differentiate ourselves with other things. We can no longer use Indonesia-based as a differentiator. So that's where support, service, quality of the product, delivering what we promised, even building that brand awareness about our expertise, all this matters a lot in winning clients. Yeah.
For when you compete with the local competitors, how do you differentiate yourself as a more like, oh, I already have this big clients, or more on the product features?
The good thing about Qiscus is we are early that means we are kind of one of the pioneer, or in fact, the pioneer in Indonesia when it comes to real-time communication technology. So when it comes to chat and call features, I would dare say we are one of the most mature uh, uh, product or engine that you can find in the local scene, right? So that already put us kind of ahead when it comes to maturity of product. So other than that, it's just really a game of how well you're able to build the relationship, how well you're able to convince, how well you're able to sell. So product wise, I think there's no worry about it. But it's just now about how do we execute it fast, who gets to the door fast, who forms a relationship fast, and so on. So how do we do that? I think we work a lot with partners. That's very key to us. So we make a lot of friends, we make a lot of relationship with partners in Indonesia, so that their clients become our friends as well. So it's really that's how we play. That's how we go to the market when it comes to the Indonesia region. Similarly, in developing countries outside of Indonesia, it's kind of a similar playbook, right? It's kind of similar. So yeah, it has been quite okay so far. Yeah.
It's right now. In Indonesia your only target market, or you already try to expand to other countries as well?
We have started to expand outside of Indonesia. So of course, Indonesia is still our primary market, but as of this year, we have started to expand in two other countries. Singapore is definitely one of them. Now we are currently looking at Malaysia, Thailand. We are already in talks with some partners there as well. And within Q1 next year, we'll be in Vietnam. And yeah, most of these are the 4-5 countries that we are looking at.
I see. Thank you, Muhammad.
Right.
So let me check the chat. Currently there's no question. So yeah, the next question that I want to ask is, can you give advice to aspiring entrepreneurs, especially those who are thinking of working with co-founders living in different countries or cities? Do you think that having co-founders living in two different cities, would that be like a challenge, or should they consider moving to same city first for the first part of the journey? Or
Let me take that, and then Delta, you can add on from your perspective. I think what's important to note that me and Delta have gone a long way. We know each other pretty well. So therefore, if I don't see Delta, I know he's still working, rather than playing futsal or something like that, right? Although I know Delta plays futsal as well. But the trust is already built at the beginning of our journey, where we were physically together, and then after that we go overseas, right? We go remote. So therefore the trust is there. But so for aspiring entrepreneurs who wants to start working, just start working with co-founders who are at the beginning already remote. It's kind of tough, I feel. Personally, I feel it's kind of tough if, let's say, you don't have that relationship built at the beginning. But of course, if that founder is someone you already know very well, then it's okay, right? Once it's okay here means, of course, there's still some other tips that needs to be done, which I think Delta will be able to share a bit more. But generally, that's my take is it's important to have that relationship first before you go remote.
so I guess to um, reward that it's more like you have to have that trust first.
Yes.
Between you and your co-founder.
Yes.
If you already have that trust, living in two different cities will not matter.
Yes. Thank you for repeating that. Yeah. Delta, you feel free. I think you have some other tips.
Yeah, I think just to add on top of what Muhammad shared, I definitely agree with what Muhammad shared. I think uh, I probably actually applies to any kind of co-founding relationship. Yeah, Arya. So it means when you choose a co-founder, you choose that person ideally because of some historical relationship that makes you trust this person, being able to work alongside you to execute something basically. So ideally it's like that, and that's what happened with Muhammad. That's what me, Muhammad, and Evan basically we have some historical understanding. So the trust is actually already in place, and then we are able to execute that, be it in single location, be in multiple location like me and Muhammad. So it allows us to be able to do that. On top of that, I think communication is always key. Always very important, I think, Arya, when it comes to communicating between co-founders, especially if you are not exactly in a single physical location. The trust is there, but being able to communicate well, being able to understand the other person's point of view is, I think, very critical when it comes to having a relationship. And especially if you are someone from different countries. I consider myself not exactly the best when it comes to language or trying to put across a correct concept or correct understanding of something. But I think communication should start with clarity when it comes to thoughts first, before even the language. So it means it doesn't. The language matters, means how if you are speaking on a different countries, in English, for example, not in your native language. What matters most, I think, being able to put across a clear thoughts or message first before the language. So that's what I mean by communication. I think is very important. So being able to do that means, I personally, usually, every time we have a discussion, every time I want to put across certain message, I usually structure my thinking process. Why exactly I'm doing this? Or what's the justifications? How may Muhammad or Evan understand this? How we can see a middle ground or a middle path where everyone can agree and we move forward with this. What exactly our values when it comes to all this? So being able to do that, I think, is key when it comes to multinational co-founding team, I guess. Yeah, the second, I think, aside from communication, is about being genuine, like authentic. Because I think Muhammad, Evan, and myself is a very different kind of people. Muhammad is like Singaporean gitu, like very kiasu, very detailed, everything. In a positive way, Muhammad. Sorry. Evan is very techy.
You just stereotype Singaporean, bro.
Okay.
You just stereotype Singaporeans, but okay.
Sorry. Specifically for Muhammad, is a very visionary person, very detailed when it comes to things. My character is more on the, piece everything, like try to bridge everything. Evan is very techy and very strong when it comes to arguments. So the key is not about trying to be someone else. Like Muhammad probably cannot be like me, or me cannot be Muhammad. It's about being genuine and authentic with what you intend to do. So I think we are here in a clear goal in mind. So this is what I can put in the table. This is what I believe I can help. So that's how Muhammad is in as well. That's how everyone is in as well. So being that authentic, I think is important. Authentic sincerity, rather than vague or and not sincere relationship, basically. So probably these two things.
So it's more like, by being authentic, you know the strength, the weaknesses of the other people, of yourself, but also know your co-founders. And by being authentic, you can try to fill the gap, right?
Yes.
I guess.
Yeah, I think that's the better way to put it.
Interesting. That's interesting. That's interesting. So I'm waiting for other questions from the audience, but no one is giving any questions. So
mungkin Pak ya.
So I guess I'm gonna ask the last question. This is usually the question that we ask our guests at Founders Diary. So I think Mas Delta has been asked this question before.
What is it?
I don't know if you remember. What is the key takeaway
Oh, okay.
being a startup founder?
I see. Oh, then I start first. So
Huh?
I think I create a recording for this, but probably I put in a different points, yeah, Arya. So,
But it's okay. I mean, like, if you have any other key takeaway that you want to share.
so one thing that
Or-
I really learned in Qiscus is about, I think there's this key term we learn actually from the founders of, usually the founders or head of product of Intercom about, it's very important to build what you sell and sell what you build. So it's just about, so build what you sell and sell what you build. It seems very easy, but a lot of time it's actually very tough to be able to balance that you're actually building something that you actually can put to the market or push to the market, and you actually sell something that actually being built by the team itself. A lot of time in Qiscus, what we experience in Qiscus is, for example, sometimes the engineering team actually building stuff that the sales team are not able to sell, or the customers are actually doesn't require that. A lot of time also, sometimes also happens where the sales team actually trying to sell something, but it's not what the engineering team actually doing or building. So being able to create this alignment between the building and selling, I think, is very critical for startup founders. This is probably one of the advice I can add.
So the sales will sell something that the engineering team cannot build.
Yeah, I mean that's the wrong way to do it. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you sell something like this product, but this product actually is not exactly the roadmap of the product team.
The sales team sell vision for vision.
The vision is too wild or too and not exactly, and you can sell vision, but if the vision is different from what the engineering team and vision is also it won't work basically. So I find that like my primary job in Qiscus is actually to be able to align these two, Pak Arya. Like how to ensure that the engineering team actually building stuff that the customers really need, the sales team actually can sell that, and the sales team actually sell this product or solutions that the team actually is building or moving towards to build, basically. So yeah.
So it's like, so you sometimes it's like build what you sell what you build. That's like something that is your key takeaway of doing Qiscus.
Yes.
That could be your one of the key takeaways. Okay, that's nice. That's nice. Because I think that's quite deep as well, right? I mean, like that's like just the summary, but then you have to, your strategy will go along.
The tough one is to be able to do that is
because it's easy, like you said, it's easy to say, but it's hard to implement because communication between the salespeople and the engineering team, the constant feedback, right?
Yes, executions, being able to execute that well. Yeah, a lot of things actually, and basically, if we are able to do that well, we at least should be able to reach a certain point where we know that we are actually building something of values to the market, basically. So just now the question is about how big is the market, basically, how big is that market, rather than going on different directions. Or another way to put it is like you have an arrow that if everyone is pointing to different directions, the resulted output can be zero because people are not moving at the same directions. But the goal of the company or the startup itself to be able to move this to the same direction, be it engineering, be it the sales, so that everyone is achieving the same goals.
Interesting. Thank you, Mas Dauta. How about from you, Muhammad? What's the key takeaway that you?
I have 2 points. When I started the entrepreneurship journey, I was scolded quite harshly because I asked one fellow entrepreneur, what is the usual way of doing something, right? So I like to ask this question because I was from the Singapore government. Singapore government is always asking, what's the usual way?
Stereotypes. Okay.
So I asked that question to an entrepreneur and I got a very big scolding saying that there is no usual way, right? So you got to figure things out, right? So I think that's a very that scolding is still in my mind even till today, even after 10 years, right? So that's one very important takeaway as a founder. Second is basically what Michael Siebel from Y Combinator said. Founders, a very good founder is someone who get shit done, right? Really, once you say that you're going to do something, really do it. Even though you get it wrong, it's okay, just do it. Even if let's say you have mentors ask you to do something, just do it. All right. So if let's say you have this discipline of getting things done, that is where Michael Siebel used the word that you build yourself to be a formidable person, means someone who is respected because this guy really get things done, right? So basically, from the second point that I learned from Y Combinator is that you as a good founder, you really needs to walk the talk, get things done. So that's the second point that I take away for as a founder. Yeah.
So the first one was there's no like
There's no
a
standard or
game plan or like typical roadmap, I guess, right?
Yeah. There's no standard that you can follow blindly kind of thing. You got to
follow template.
Just do it. Basically, just do it. You'll find out your own.
Just do it. Yeah.
And then the second one, if you already promise something or you already say something, you have to do it, I guess.
Yeah. Yes. Deliver. Just get things done, or always get things done. Even though no matter how small it is, always get things done.
Okay. Thank you, Mas Delta. Thank you, Muhammad, for your insights. So I guess even I learned a lot from talking to you guys, and I hope the listeners who join us live from YouTube, from Zoom, and also from Jakab also learn something from your experience. And I hope this is not gonna be the last time that we can invite you guys to Founders Diary.
Definitely not.
Thank you, thanks again. So let me for closing. So if you like to get in touch with us, you can hit the reply button when we send you the thank you for your participation email, or please also follow our Instagram account at Founders Diary and at CR News. You can also rewatch the recording via YouTube channel CR News in case you missed it. And see you next week. And we're going to discuss about having your spouse, husband or wife, as a business partner. So that's an interesting one.
Muhammad may also say that.
I worked with a couple co-founder before.
I see. So registration via bit.ly/Founders Diary, and we're going to talk a lot more about the husband and wife business. So thank you everyone. Thank you for listening. Thank you for joining us tonight, and thank you to the amazing speakers, Mas Delta and Muhammad.
Thank you, Arya.
Thank you, and see you next time.
See you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.